A new report about the FBI probe into Donald Trump's 2016 presidential campaign states that the agency relied too heavily on tips provided by Trump's political opponents. The new report suggests that U.S. intelligence and law enforcement did not possess any actual evidence of collusion between Trump's campaign and Russia prior to launching the probe dubbed Crossfire Hurricane. In response to the report, the FBI said it has already implemented dozens of corrective actions that have been in place for some time. Rudy Giuliani's former associate is suing him for sexual assault and harassment. The plaintiff, Noelle Dunphy, said Giuliani began abusing her almost immediately after hiring her in January 2019 as a director of business development and making clear that satisfying his sexual demands was an absolute requirement for her job. The lawsuit seeks at least $10 million in damages from Giuliani and 3 of his namesake companies. Now, according to the complaint, Giuliani promised to pay Dunphy $1 million a year, but said her pay had to be deferred and her employment kept secret. The U.S. Virgin Islands has subpoenaed Elon Musk as a part of its lawsuit against J.P. Morgan. They requested documents from the billionaire under the allegations that J.P. Morgan Chase benefited financially from Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking operation. The move comes in response to bank's knowledge of longtime client Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking. The petition asking Musk to present the documents doesn't charge him of any wrongdoing. Instead, it indicates that he was a high net worth individual who might have been introduced to J.P. Morgan by Epstein. U.S. State Department Deputy Spokesperson Vedant Patel stated in a press conference that the United States is aware an American has been charged of espionage in China. A 78-year-old U.S. citizen and Hong Kong resident was convicted of espionage and sentenced to life imprisonment by a court in eastern China. The court did not provide specifics of his alleged offense, but said that Suzhou's National Security Bureau began investigating Lung on April 15, 2021 on suspicion of spying. The U.S. State Department Deputy Spokesperson added that the U.S. State Department has no greater priority than the safety and security of U.S. citizens overseas. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has wrapped up his Europe tour. He visited 4 countries, which included Britain, Germany, France and Italy. Zelensky's diplomatic tour comes ahead of Kyiv's expected counteroffensive. The latest stop in his European tour was the United Kingdom, where he met with the UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. London has confirmed that it will send hundreds of air defense missiles and armed drones to Ukraine. French President Emmanuel Macron said France is ready to train Ukrainian fighter jet pilots in France and that those training programs could start anytime soon. His comments came hours after Britain promised Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky long-range attack drones, where he visited the country on Monday as part of European tour aimed at securing new weapons for a counteroffensive against Russia. Macron said France would also deliver more equipment, including long-range missiles that would enable Ukraine to carry out the counteroffensive. Russia spent $26 billion on defense in January and February alone, a 282% jump on the same period a year ago, data on the budget portal has shown. Military spending illustrates the spiraling costs for Moscow of its conflict in Ukraine. Rising military production and huge state spending are keeping Russia's industry buzzing, along helping soften the economic impact of Western sanctions. A blast in a barber shop in Luhansk injured nearly 7 people, including a Russian official. The Russian official was appointed as the acting interior minister of the Luhansk region and is currently in the hospital in serious condition. The Russian Investigative Committee has opened a criminal investigation as it suspects the blast was aimed at killing the Russian official. In southern Senegal, clashes between police and supporters of opposition politician Ousmane Sonko have left 1 policeman dead. Protests broke out the day before a scheduled court appearance for 48-year-old Sonko, who is facing trial for alleged rape of an employee at a beauty salon where he went for a massage. However, he says he is the victim of a government plot to scupper his eligibility to run for president in the 2024 presidential election. Hundreds of people demonstrated in Argentina's capital on Monday, protesting against the recent Israeli airstrikes on the Gaza Strip. In solidarity with their cause, Palestinians and organizations marched to the Israeli embassy in Buenos Aires. They shouted slogans against Israel-Palestinian violence or conflict, which has intensified for months now, with frequent Israeli military raids. Palestinians also marked 75 years of the Nakba Day. It symbolizes the day when hundreds of thousands were forced from their homes or fled in the 1948 war that accompanied the foundation of Israel. Well, thousands of Palestinians took out a rally in Ramallah to mark the 75th anniversary of the Nakba, when hundreds of thousands of Palestinians were displaced from their homes following the creation of Israel in 1948. For the first time, the United Nations officially commemorated the flight of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians from what is now Israel on the 75th anniversary of their exodus, an action stemming from the United Nations petition of British-ruled Palestine into separate Jewish and Arab states. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas headlined UN commemoration of what Palestinians call the Nakba, or catastrophe. Riyad Mansour, the Palestinian UN ambassador, called the UN observance historic and significant because the General Assembly played a key role in the partition of Palestine. Two protesters from the environmental group Extinction Rebellion interrupted a speech by Britain's Interior Minister Suella Braverman to the National Conservative Conference in London. Braverman's speech focused on curbing illegal migration, a key priority under British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's government. She said it was not racist to want to control your borders. Both protesters were escorted out of the building. More than 45,000 migrants arrived in small boats on the English south coast in 2022, with that number expected to increase significantly this year. A deadly fire ripped through a multi-story hostel in New Zealand's capital on Tuesday. The blaze killed at least 6 people and left several others injured. The incident happened at Loafers Lodge Hostel in central Wellington last night. Towering flames and thick smoke was seen coming out of the hostel's roof. Police and emergency services said multiple people had died and 52 people had been rescued. Officials reported that the number of deaths may rise. The exact number of fatalities remains undetermined. Police say the cause of the fire remains unexplained. They will be working with fire services to determine what really happened. In yet another case of deadly gun violence in the United States, at least 4 people, including the teen gunman, were killed in a shooting in New Mexico State on Monday. The shooter is believed to have acted alone. The gunman is reported to be an 18-year-old. The shooting took place in the residential area of Farmington in New Mexico, near the U.S. border with Mexico. 2 officials were wounded in an exchange of gunfire with the gunman before police shot him dead outside a church. The condition of the officials is reported to be stable. San Francisco's District Attorney Brooke Jenkins has released footage of the shooting of Banco Brown by a security guard at Walgreens. Jenkins also revealed that her office was not going to press charges against the security guard. The CCTV video shows Brown getting into a fight with the security guard before breaking free, exiting the store and even being shot. As per reports, Brown was a trans man and worked in his community helping trans youth. According to an Amnesty International report, recorded executions worldwide reached 883 last year, the highest level since 2017. Now, according to the report, China was believed to have led the way in the grisly ranking, ahead of Iran with 576 executions, Saudi Arabia with 196, Egypt with 24 executions, and the United States with 18. The death penalty is also used extensively in North Korea and Vietnam, but as with China, figures there remained shrouded in secrecy. The IMF says Sri Lanka's crisis-hit economy is expected to begin bouncing back in 2024. The country took a dent of 3% this year amid its worst economic crisis since independence. An IMF team is currently visiting Sri Lanka until May 23rd, ahead of the program's first review later this year. They are expected to evaluate the progress made on reform so far and complete an exercise to improve governance and spot weaknesses in 6 key areas of the economy. The Sri Lanka economy's growth forecast of 1.5% next year hinges on economic reforms the country has undertaken and their successful implementation. Italy has earmarked $33 million to improve the skills of unemployed people as well as those workers whose jobs could be most at risk from the advance of automation and artificial intelligence. Now, according to the Fund for Digital Republic, set up in 2021 by the Rome government to boost the digital skills of Italians, of the total, 10 million euros will go towards boosting the skills of those whose jobs are at high risk of being replaced, while the remaining 20 million euros will be allocated to help unemployed and economically inactive people develop digital skills that would improve their chances of entering the job market. President Joe Biden attended his granddaughter Macy Biden's graduation ceremony with First Lady Jill Biden and his family at the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. Macy is the daughter of Hunter Biden. Super Cyclone Mocha wreaked havoc in Myanmar and Bangladesh on Sunday and Monday, laying waste to entire communities before it dissipated. The storm that originated in the Bay of Bengal made landfall between Cox's Bazar in Bangladesh and Myanmar's Sittwe. At least 5 people have been killed and 25 others were injured in Myanmar. There have been no reports of any casualties in Bangladesh. More than 860 houses and 14 health facilities and 7 communication towers were damaged in Myanmar. In Bangladesh, officials reported evacuating nearly 750,000 people and 12,000 houses were fully or partially destroyed. The U.S. Pacific Northwest is experiencing record high temperatures for this time of the year. Temperature at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport was at 31 degrees Celsius. The previous record high was 30 degrees Celsius, according to the National Weather Service. Temperatures in Seattle will remain above normal throughout the rest of the week, according to the National Weather Service. At Seattle Center, people gathered at the International Fountain to beat the heat. An anemic and malnourished sloth was rescued by national park teams in southern Peru. At the time of the rescue, the young female sloth had a body temperature of 21 degrees Celsius and was placed in an incubator to stabilize her health. According to vet doctors, the animal was poorly fed and had signs of mistreatment. The manager of Peru's National Forest and Wildlife Service said the sloth is recovering and is stable, but will remain under observation before being released into the jungle next month. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.